Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. If you are here for the introduction to API's 101 session, you are in the wrong place. Yeah. But if you are here for some fun and learning, you are exactly where you need it to be. Grab your virtual snacks, make sure your pets are in the spotlight, and let's dive into today's adventure. Just remember, if you encounter any technical issues, the universal solution is to turn it off and on again, including your coffee maker, right? Okay, welcome to Postman's introduction to APIs 101. Let's get started. My name is Sahil and I am the API 101. And yeah, just to say hi to everyone, we can just maybe write hi, hello in the chat. Let's make this session interactive. I just don't want to talk to a computer for a complete hour. So just be interactive in the chat. Okay. Hi, Vedika. Hi, Ronak. Hi, hello. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, maybe you can write where are you from or your college name. Okay. I am from Sri Ramdeva College of Engineering and Management. So yeah, just give me a hi with your college name and the city name maybe. Okay. Let me have a look at the chat. Okay. Looks like people are joining in. Okay. So I'll wait for a minute and then we will get started. Yep. Well, then I will introduce myself. As I told you, I am Sahil Jadhav. I am a Postman student expert. Okay. So yeah, today's agenda is going to be very simple. We are going to talk about APIs and how they are helpful. The whole program is designed to make you API literate. So we'll talk about API and the basics of it. And it is for absolutely anyone who wants to learn about APIs. Okay. So you don't need any much information about it. So we'll talk about like literally everything from basic. Okay. So if you are an advanced user of API, this workshop might not be for you, but you might learn some really cool hacks of how to use Postman and make your API development journey easier. Okay. Apart from that, as I told you, we will be working from the baseline. So we will talk about the request, responses, and then this is a hands-on event. So basically, you might want to try out what I'm showing you, and we will have some little interactive sessions in between, and we will follow that up with some resources so that you can go home and probably learn more about Postman and APIs. Okay, and the Q&As, I prefer to take Q&As as we go. So if you have any questions about APIs or anything which I am talking about, just put it in the comments. As I told you, I already look at the comments as I'm delivering. If I wish to kind of take that up right away, because I would find it relevant, I would definitely answer it right away. But if you would wish to, accumulate your questions and ask me at the end, okay? So, yeah, when I talk about APIs, APIs are nothing but a digital restaurant. You all might have been to restaurants, and the ideal way of how it happens at a restaurant is you go in and then you order something at a waiter, and then that waiter goes to the kitchen and then kind of brings you back your food. The process is very simple. You kind of give order to the waiter goes to the chef, puts that order, chef makes it. Yeah. And then they bring it back to you on your table. Okay. You can compare this with an API where the waiter acts as an API. Just let me simplify it with a very simple client server architecture example. Here you can see who is going to a restaurant is acting as a client. A client can maybe anything. It can be ATM machine, it can be a computer, it can be a mobile phone, it can be any entity out there which can send a request. Okay. And then the waiter becomes the API, which is actually the internet. Through the internet, how the API kind of works over HTTP or HTTPS protocols. and it takes that request to the server. The server, on the other hand, kind of process that request and try to figure out, or try to kind of get some data from the server from the backend, and that is databases or something, and then sends that information back. A very simple example could be of an ATM machine. You go to an ATM machine, swipe your card, the client requests the bank server to tell the balance, right? Unless you can't kind of remove a lot of cash if you don't have balance, and then the server responds back with the balance, and that's how the communication happens. And you were able to kind of get cash if you have balance, right? Okay. So yeah, when I talk about a bit of a technicality, like obviously you won't see, waiters running around the internet. So you might want to understand the technical example. I'm pretty sure a lot of you might use Instagram or maybe LinkedIn or any other social media sites for that example, right? So do you people use it? Yeah, I know everyone uses it. That's my main question. Okay, yeah, I use it a lot and spend a lot of day. But let us understand the technical aspect of it, right? So if you are using Instagram and you might maybe upload a quick story of you attending a webinar like this workshop, what your ideal steps would be to open up the app. Like go to the camera section and then kind of click a photo, add some GIFs, or maybe if you are not a creative person, you might just want to upload it right away, right? Now, the whole process involves multiple uses of APIs and different types of API. For example, when you open Instagram and you try to open camera, you are actually using a hardware level API, which is allowing you to access the hardware, the camera, okay? And then once you click a photo, it renders you onto the Instagram app. And it's not just there. Actually, you can add GIFs, you can add songs, you can add so many different items on top of your stories. And they all use public APIs which were available around the world. For example, Instagram uses Giphy to add GIFs, and you can actually use the same API to add that functionality to your application as well. And then once you hit upload button, it actually sends out the Instagram to Instagram private servers, and they also use APIs, right? And once it is uploaded there, then your followers would be able to see that, and they would be able to comment, reply back, and so on. And you can see we have been using this all across every day, but you don't understand how actually APIs work in real life, right? Okay, so this is a very good technical example of how you can see multiple services using APIs, not just Instagram, not just any other social media site. For that example, like literally everyone uses it. Okay, so what is the formal definition of API? API stands for Application Programming Interface. And when I talk about APIs, they allow you to communicate with each other. So the basic idea of an API is that it enables to communicate with different applications without exposing your code base or your complete database. Okay. So it's very simple. It's secure because you are not lending your secret sauce to others, but you are allowing them to use this functionality so that they can implement that in their own application at the same time, not compromising the security of it. And as we have seen over the years, that software development is more complex, but it has become collaborative over the years. Sometimes we need to get data from services like Google or Facebook. Since we can't see or change their code, they provide APIs. APIs let developers get information from these services without needing to access their actual code. Both developers and non-developers use APIs to get data from services like Twitter and Google for their own projects. The great thing about modern development is that you don't have to build everything from scratch. You can use services from other companies since many apps and software use APIs. They are very important and will be around for a long time. Okay, this is why we want to teach as many as people as possible about APIs and how to use them. Okay, There is an API for everything. There are various APIs like the cat API, the Spotify. Spotify has their own API. Twitter has their own API. Facebook, Google, YouTube, uh, Discord, and many more. Okay. Now, when we talk about APIs, obviously in the modern world, your software is going to work with different softwares across the internet to make the user experience really good. And that's why I give this example of how APIs turn software into Lego bricks. Okay. You can actually bring in individual pieces and then attach them together and make a complete block. Now, if you have ever played with Legos, they are really fun. You can actually plug them in. You can remove a piece and make a completely different, kind of system out of it. And that is so kind of cool to you. Just play with Legos and with softwares. It is exactly the same. Looks like a software version of the Lego bricks system. Those plastic blocks that you can put together to create things. The possibilities are endless. The only limit is your imagination, right? When I was a child, I used to play with Lego bricks for endless hours, creating buildings, cars, planes, spaceships, or whatever I wanted. When I was bored with of one of my creations, I could destroy it completely and start something new from scratch, or could transform it by replacing some parts. I could even put existing structures together to create a massive spaceship. For example, it is the same in the API world. You can decompose huge systems of software bricks that can be easily assembled and even replaced to APIs. But there are some minor differences also. Okay, just a minute. Okay, Postman. So, what is Postman? Postman is an API platform for building and using APIs. Postman simplifies each step of the API cycle and streamlines collaboration so you can create better APIs faster. Okay, so you can design, test, mock, monitor, document, discover APIs in Postman. Okay, Postman is a collaborative API development platform that allows users to create, test, run APIs, as we already read. Postman is an industry standard tool as well. So you will probably run across it in the workspace. If you are confused about what that means, don't worry. We are going to use Postman today to make API requests. So we will see what it's all about. Because of Postman's helpful features around APIs, the tool has become an industry standard used by many top companies and individual developers alike. Postman by default comes in as a really great tool and it's free. So you can use the free functionality. And if you are a team of three developers, it is free for even a team of three developers. Okay. So, Postman is an industry standard tool. Postman is a collaborative API development platform that simplifies creating, using, and testing APIs with a UI. 98% of organizations use Postman, and like PayPal, Philips, Uber, etc. And more than 500,000 organizations and 23 million developers use Postman. Right? Okay. So yeah. Now, why do we need Postman in the very first place? That is a very good question to ask. And the answer is very simple. If you don't want to use Postman, then you will have to go with the traditional way of using call commands. And as a beginner, it might not be the best way to learn about APIs, and it might scare you and not enable you to learn a lot more. Right? And that's why Postman simplifies that with a very simple UI, where You can add the URL, you can add the params, and Postman does all the heavy loading for you. At the same time, you can save that, save the response, save the request, and share that with your team, right? Okay. Okay. So we will do hands-on really soon. So if you are not on your laptops, I would request you to maybe be on your laptops because this will require the use of laptops. Though the Postman site is completely responsive, but touch screen would not help you to do hands-on. Okay, so switch to laptops if possible if you want to do hands-on. Okay, I'll wait. So yeah, whenever you talk about APIs, you ideally would send requests and get some responses in return. And that is how the whole client server architecture works. You send some request and then you wait for the response and then you get responses, right? And then you do something with that response, maybe display it in a very good UI or maybe kind of render it and just display the raw, right? So let's talk about the request response pattern and how it works. So there is a client, as I have told already. Client can be literally anything which can send a request. There is a server. A server is ideally where the resources are located or where the request is going to be processed, and you are going to use the internet or the network to send this request. It can be on the local host. Yes, it can be across the internet. Okay, so it can be like any setup. It can be a local setup. It can be like an internet rate setup. So what ideally happens is you can actually send a request, the server processes it, and you get a response in return, and that is the response which we are kind of displaying on. Okay, the client side to kind of give the user some kind of data that they are looking for. And I have shown already, the ATM example, right? About swiping your card, right? Now, making a request is not an easy part, and that's why we have simplified it using three simple steps. Step number one, working with methods. Step number two, talking about the URL or the address in the endpoints. And three, path. What path we are going to use, or what variables or what query patterns we are going to use in making our request. Okay. So request methods and endpoints. So the very first thing which I want to highlight is this get method. Okay. Now there are multiple types of method which we use wherever you actually search on Google or you go to any website, you are actually hitting them with a get method, and a traditional browser doesn't support. Okay, so to send you different types of method because it is a browser. That's why Postman makes it very simple to give you an option in the drop down to select that kind of a method you want to kind of send with the URL. Okay, now there are four famous or four pretty, useful methods which we talk about. The first one is get method. It helps you to retrieve information from the server. Post method, it helps you to send information to the server. Put or patch helps you to update information in the server, and delete method to delete information onto the server. The second part is the URL, and as you can see, the URL is divided into three different parts. The very first part being the protocol. What protocol are we using? Is it HTTP or is it HTTPS, or are we using another kind of a protocol and not an HTTP protocol? Then the second part of the URL is uh, the second part. Just a minute. Okay. Can everyone hear me? Okay, can you see the screen? Okay. Yeah. Then the second part of the URL is where or what we call it as the host name or the domain name, ideally. You might have seen a lot of people use that word, right? And it is the main domain as it refers to google.com, postman.com, and so on. Okay. It can also be an IP address because DNS is nothing but an IP address, right? So again, it can be an IP address or it can be a domain name followed by last part, which is the path where the resource is located. Okay. Moving forward, so query params enable us to filter the request, enable enables us to kind of send specific data, and apart from that, headers. What are headers? Headers are metadata. So they kind of carry some data which is basically allows the server to process it better. Okay. So again, we talk about three things. The first one is status code. Status code helps you to understand what happened with your request. Okay. If was it successful, was it not successful, and so on. Okay. Next, a body can also be sent to the client by the server in a response. There are different types of body format which you can send. Okay, here you can see there are various data types: form data, JSON, text, HTML, XML, files, GraphQL, and many more. Okay, so you can see the JSON language format here. Okay, uh, we went over how to set up API request and send them via Postman. When you send an API call, you will receive a response, right? Okay, and there are multiple types of status code which will come across. For example, 200 means everything is okay. 404 means the resource was not found. 201 means the resource was created, and so on. Errors, more importantly, carry metadata and then body. Body carries data. Okay, so let's work with a real API. Everyone, so let's get some hands on. So let's go to this URL. Go to that URL, it will open a public workspace. Okay, I will give this in the chat box. Just a minute. Okay, just get your laptops on. Okay, so after clicking on that link, you can see here this page, right? I will wait. Just give me a yes if you have opened. You are doing with me. Okay, yeah. So what is this? This is a public workspace. What it allows you to do, it allows you to kind of share your work with others. Okay, so it's basically if you are making something and you want it to be public, you want everyone to be benefited from it, you can consider this like a GitHub repository. Okay, so let's get started. Click on this basics of API. The very first is collection. Okay, here, collection. So what is collection? A collection is nothing but it is like a folder and it has multiple requests together. Inside that, so here you can see like you know basics of API as one request, which is called get data here. Okay. Now what we should do is we wish to work with this, right? So what we need to do is we need to create a copy of this. So what go there and click on the fork button. Oh, here is the fork button. Just click on it. After clicking on fork button, so you get this page. I will wait. It will pop up on your window. Now remember that you need to be signed in to fork a collection, else you will not be able to do so. So just sign in into Postman before clicking on this button, which will allow you to fork. If you are doing it with me, do let me know in the chat so that I can wait for you before moving forward. Okay. So yeah, if you are following with me, please tell me in the chat so that I can wait for you. One more thing which I need from you people is we have three different APIs which we can use for this workshop. One is Port API, one is Joke API, and one is Book API. Which one do you wish to go ahead with? I will leave it up to the audience, and the most number of votes, we go ahead with that API. Okay. So, okay, I will wait. Okay. Okay, Ronak is saying Joke API. Rohan is saying Joke API. Surbi is saying Joke API. Okay. Okay. So the most number of votes, we go ahead with that API. Okay. So we'll go with Joke API. Okay. So first of all, just create a fork. Click here. Okay. After clicking on fork, just you can see get data here. Just click on this. Just a minute. Okay. So just write. Let's see first of all the Google interface. Okay. Okay. So I told you earlier about the get method. So just click on send, and in the preview you can see the Google UIs showed or displayed. Yeah. Okay. Just give me a yes if everyone is doing with me. Okay. Yeah. So now let's do different. Uh, yeah. So let's go with the joke API now. Just copy this URL and paste this here. Okay. Just write joke. After this, just click on send, and then you will see various jokes here. You can see Anas Khan has wrote, in order to understand recursion, one must first understand recursion, right? Okay, so you can see more jokes here. Just click on send, and then the further jokes will appear. Okay, see, bugs are features, right? The next one, which I wrote, is why did the API go to the therapy? Because it kept getting 200 requests, right? Okay, so like me, you can also add jokes in it. Okay, so let's do the same. Just to add jokes, just go click on the body, click on raw, and the language should be JSON, right? Okay, so write the code. First of all, add the curly braces here. Then write ID. ID could be anything. Write any number. I will write, okay, my college roll number 67. Okay, just write in curly braces. Give it a comma at the end. Okay, now the next write author. Author name means your name. I will write my name here. Okay, now you can write joke. Okay, so write any joke. Okay, I will write, I earn my first salary being a program by selling my laptop, right? Okay, so okay, so just click on send. This one, so sorry, we forgot to put post method here. Okay, so what does post method do? Yeah, just tell me in the chat box. Yes, correct. Post method adds the information into the API. Okay, posts the information, right? Okay, so just click on send. As you can see, our joke is sent in the API, right? Yeah. So if you want to check, so let's check. Just copy this URL, just paste it on Google, and then add slash view. Okay, so here you can see, yeah, Vimohi Valdea has also added her joke. My college is the funniest when it talks about placements, right? Yeah. This is my joke. I made, sorry, no, not this one. Yeah, this one. I earned my first salary being a programmer by selling my laptop. Yeah. So this one was my joke and it's added. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Done. Everyone done? Just give me a yes in the chat box. Okay. So let's move towards our presentation. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You can also be a Postman fundamental student expert. API and Postman training created by a Postman team. Also, you can get the Postman student expert bandage to showcase online and to future employers. Also, exclusive access to Postman meetups and events like Postman Galaxy, the Postman user conference. Also, you will get the invitation to the online Postman student expert program community. Also, you will have the option to become a student leader in your community, right? Okay. So, a recap, we learned request essentials to retrieve and update API data, addresses, methods, parameters, body data, response loaders, etc. Okay. Okay, so how about winning some amazing swags? Do you all want to win some swags? Yes, maybe. Okay, so we have a challenge here for you to accomplish and win a swag for yourself. Okay, the challenge is social media campaign. If you enjoyed this workshop and you want to summarize your learning to others, you can either use Twitter or LinkedIn and use the hashtag Postman Student. You can tag me as well. So you can do that, summarizing the best. So the best summarization wins. Okay. So yeah, summarize it using hashtag Postman Student, and we will see the best submissions on LinkedIn and Twitter, and we will send you a swag to the best one. Okay. The summary would be what you learned in the session, maybe a screenshot of you attending it or something like that, and what you learned, etc., etc. And don't forget to use hashtag Postman Student. Share about the social media challenge on LinkedIn and Twitter within 24 hours of workshop. Okay. Also, write a blog about your experience and get a chance to win a 4 item kit: t-shirt, sticker, pen, and diary. Okay. So just submit your swag entries here. Just take a picture of it. Okay. Okay. Here are the resources for learning. You can go to learning.postman.com. For API network, you can explore.postman.com and community.postman.com. Okay. By using this, you can learn more about Postman. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Yeah, yeah. Postman makes using API very simple. Like by using command, if you don't use Postman, you use then you have to use call commands to use APIs. Okay, so it will be harder. So Postman make it simple. Yeah, this is the use of Postman, right? Okay. So okay, all right. So looks like we do not have any questions. If you do not have the questions, if you have the questions, sorry, please join the Postman Discord server. Yeah, there are other Postman folks around who can help you with the questions. And yeah, there are no other questions. Just give me a feedback on this. Just scan this and provide a feedback. Okay. Thank you. Thank you everyone who joined in and then interacted and made this session possible. Thank you everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.